Hello, so today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. It's going to be a comment review. So what I'm going to do is, based on the sorting by what Google thinks are the most important comments, I guess, I'm going to read through them, I'm going to respond to them, analyze, talk about it, and try and fill in the cracks of what maybe is missing in some of the more recent uploads on my channel, as well as answer any outstanding questions and try and make it fun and informative, try and like elaborate and get really nitty gritty with some of those finer questions that I might have glossed over, as well as just like get general community feedback, which I think is good for me to grow as a content creator. If you like my content, normally I'm doing guides on this channel. I recently did some Mentor Ryze guides and some things about stats. We're working on an item update, an item guide updated from the previous versions that I had out. It's just that I'm waiting for the next patch to drop because there's going to be a lot of changes to items in that patch, and then I'll make the item guide. I also have a daily VOD channel, or quote-unquote daily, where I'm uploading VODs and or stream highlights. So if you want to see some actual gameplay, Fenruba Gaming VODs. Now, let's get through the comments. So first comment. This is about yesterday's video where I talked about Mentor Ryze. If you didn't watch yesterday's video, I think it's really important to watch. And it's really important to pay attention to what I say in the video, because basically there's this new tech with Mentor Ryze where you play specifically around Socialite. And it makes the comp absolutely, like, you know, like in the video I said it's not that broken because Socialite's broken. But if you can get Socialite on Aatrox and you can play around that with your Mentor Ryze board, it is absurd how strong it is. It's easily the best comp in the game, and it's not even close. Like, the close second is not even a second. You know what I mean? Like, it is absurdly strong, specifically with Socialite. So I'm sure a lot of the comments are going to be missing the fact that I'm talking about Socialite, but the whole point of the video was me to update because that was a recent optimization that happened that I want to mention. But anyways, it's very strong if you see it as a fast 8 Ryze comp. Yes, that's what I said in the video. It maintains its high power level of being flexible on 2 stars. No, you don't have to worry about the 2 stars, the flexibility, right? You don't have to worry about 5 mech, Yone, stretchy arms. This is don't do any of this, right? If you want to play the Mentor Ryze board, I mentioned it in the other video. I want to make it very clear. I want to make it absolutely excruciatingly clear. When you're playing the 4 Mentor Ryze board, the thing that is the most important is obviously Ryze as your main carry, usually. Making AD items, you can put them on whoever, it doesn't matter. You can put them on a 5 cost later. That's usually a high cap. Specifically, also I should put in the mechs. Give me 1 second. Let me put in the mechs. Just so I can complete the board for everybody, right? When you're playing this board, what matters the most is hitting Socialite. Socialite is a power-up that is offered on Aatrox. The power-up is extremely strong. It's extremely broken. It's probably going to get nerfed next patch, but I don't even think it's going to get nerfed enough that this won't be a thing. You need to hit Socialite, right? The reason that this comp is getting a lot more play at high level, and the reason a lot of people is because a lot of people are saying that it's really broken, really good, is specifically because Socialite on Aatrox, or anybody for that matter. You can even get on Udyr and Yasuo. But basically Socialite, it gives so many stat bonuses to your entire team that it's extremely powerful. The reason Socialite wasn't super relevant on a lot of other comps in the past is because it's on all dog shit comps. The only reason that you might have seen it in the past was when it was on a Garen. If you hit it early on a Garen, or if you hit it early on a Katarina or a Jace, then you usually would see it in Battle Academia. But basically it gives you a bunch of damage amp and a bunch of HP to every single unit on your board. And specifically with the Mentor Ryze board, that you have a lot of units that are doing a lot of work, even as like lower cost, low upgrade units like Kabuko, even a Yasuo 2, even an Udyr 2, the Socialite bonus goes a long way. So specifically, you are going for Socialite, you're getting all the Socialite hexes lit up on your board, and that's what's making it so absurdly strong right now. And it's really easy to fish for because Aatrox isn't that important to your board. So you basically can dig for it on stage 3, or you can dig for it later, and you can basically just buy, sell the Aatrox. It's a very inexpensive unit. You can hold some extra copies of Aatrox on your bench because it doesn't cost too much, and you basically cycle these so you don't have to waste fruit removers. Specifically the Socialite, it's really important. We'll go through even more. I actually prepped some other stuff because I figured people would start mentioning it as well. That's what matters the most. Don't worry about like these things. Socialite is what matters the most, right? Don't ever take out your fruit for Guinsoo's stretchy arms. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, that's not what this person's saying. I'm sure they know that you have to use Socialite, but I want to make it very clear. If it wasn't clear in the 10-minute video where I mentioned Socialite and I give you a whole tutorial on Socialite, I want to make it very clear. Next comment. But anyways, we'll like and do it. Cool. I'm glad you're around. Who in the comments wants to volunteer to timestamp every single fruit? I don't really do time. So timestamps is something a lot of people always ask for. I do timestamps when I can, because it takes, basically with this daily upload channel, I sometimes barely even make it, right? It's hard for me to manage doing everything that I want to do in a day and then also be able to do the daily uploads. And sometimes it's a bit of a struggle. Adding the extra time to do the timestamps is just not worth it a lot of the time, because like it takes so much extra time in certain cases and with certain videos. And then additionally, like I'm already not making, like for the amount of effort I put into this channel, I am making significantly less than minimum wage. If I took all the time I spent on YouTube and I just worked a shift at McDonald's, I would be making, I can't give you the exact number, but it was not even close to how much more money I would be making that way. So if you're asking me to do extra work on top of that, that's why I don't do it. It's just too much. It makes it way too unsustainable. Now, when there is a video that's important, like Orn artifacts, or sometimes patch notes, or how to play comps, I put it in because it's a multi-week effort, so I can do it more easily in my workflow, and I can do it ahead of time. So with the Orn artifact one, for example, I can like keep track of them. I can put like a stopwatch. I can like keep track of the timings of everything, and then I can like slowly add it in because I'm spending a lot of time on the video. So when it's most important, there will be timestamps. If it's something like this, if it's not timestamped, it's usually in alphabetical order. So just go in alphabetical order. You'll find what you need to find, just A, B, C, Ds, right? And just skip, and that's the best I can tell you to do. The stats guide, oh, this was the best. I actually liked all the comments on it, but basically on the stats guide, I'll also like and do this to move on. On the stats guide, I basically said like, hey, somebody's just gonna say no, you said the wrong thing, and then like all the comments were like, hey, everybody's just repeating that thing that I said. That's great. I love my community for that. Those are the people that I love to have around. That was so funny. Anyways, next comment. Got to diamond spamming this comp. This is about Mentor Ryze. 1/7 in 20-ish games. Rest top 4. Now it's S tier. Whole lobby is playing it. Yeah, okay. TFT Academy is another thing. Now, I don't have gripes with TFT Academy, but I want to mention the reason it's S tier on TFT Academy is not like now that it's S tier. No, the comp is different. The reason it's S tier now is because it has Socialite. I will pull up TFT Academy for you. TFT Academy, this is a website. I'm sure all of you guys use it. Whenever I say anything that's slightly different from TFT Academy, I get a bunch of comments saying I'm an idiot, and then they update their website because they update it daily, just like me, and it's like, whatever. Anyways, Mentor Mech is now in the S tier section. Why is it in the S tier section? If you look at the power-ups, it literally is just Socialite for Aatrox. There's not even a second option that they have here. Every other comp in the game has multiple options. Every single comp has multiple options. This one, that's how important Socialite is. That's what makes it S tier. This is the part that makes it S tier. It's not to do with the units. It's not that Ryze has too much power. It's not that Lee Sin is broken. It's Socialite. If you don't have Socialite, it's not an S tier comp. I want to make that very clear. Additionally, if you read the tips, it literally says your second fruit should be looking for Socialite. The tips is explaining how to do Socialite. This is insane. Right? Now, I also want to mention, you know, obviously they just updated it to say about Socialite. I just want to make it very clear, I don't just rip off TFT Academy. Some people sometimes accuse me of that or like mention it. You know, usually it's like rude people that end up banning anyways. I want to make it very clear, I used the Wayback Machine and they didn't have the explanation to use Socialite. I think they still said to fruit the Aatrox 2 days ago. This is on September 6th. You can check it out on Wayback Machine yourself as well. I can't find the actual fruits, but when I was making the video for the updated Ryze thing with Socialite, it was before it was on the website, okay? I just want to put it out there. I just want to say, like, I was paying attention to streams, I was paying attention to top-level players, and that's where I found out the tech, and then I made a video on it as soon as I could because I realized I made a mistake, and that was the whole point of yesterday's video, right? The whole point was because I left it out in my original Mentor video. So I figured it out, I learned about it, I realized my mistakes, I made a video on it, right? So that's why it's S tier, right? If you're not playing with Socialite, it's not an S tier comp. So it's not like everybody's playing it, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you were playing it with Socialite ahead of time, but just, you know, just note, the Socialite part is the part that's broken. That's the part that makes it really strong. Next, you dislike this comp, it's been so horrendous, right? It's supposed to be OP. Okay, this just sounds like you had a bad spot, right? Right, Colossal Udyr, yeah, it's like, it's more so just like you need to play the comp from a good spot anyways, right? Like it does it like here you're talking about like hitting Senna and J4, right? Level 6 J4, missing 2-star Ryze. It's like you don't really want to play it as a Senna reroll comp, right? You really want to play it as a Ryze comp and then find Socialite on Aatrox, right? So you really just want to play it for Ryze carry. I mentioned it in my videos as well. I'm like, Senna usually doesn't do as much damage. It's nice if you can play it. What I would recommend is you only should really play around Senna 3-star. This is a me personal take. Your opinion could definitely differ. I would only play Senna or Yasuo reroll if I specifically have Teacher's Council. This one. Because the biggest problem with the comp is that you're just not stable until you hit the Ryze if you don't have Teacher's Council. This allows you to play 3 mentor instead of having to play 4 mentor. So it's a really big tip, or it's a really big like thing that makes it consistent. Of course, you can play it from whatever. You can have whatever successes you have. I don't care. Me personally, I would never play the Senna reroll version unless I had Teacher's Council. That's like my criteria. If I don't have Teacher's Council, I'm not playing Senna reroll, right? I'm rolling on level 8, and if I hit a bunch of Sennas on level 8, I'll maybe try and finish the Senna on level 8. If not, I'm going level 9. That's it. That's end of story. You cannot convince me otherwise. It doesn't matter what you say. That's my understanding of the comp. That's my understanding. That's my read from playing and being whatever skill level I am at the game, right? So that's just how I do it. I'm not going to do anything differently than that. Senna 3 is super fake. I agree. She is a little bit fake. If you have good items, she is really good, but it's just hard to juggle everything. So it's hard to like make that your standard game plan. But it was always kind of like that, right? Like even when I played a game of Senna reroll, I only went for it because I got Teacher's Council. If I didn't have Teacher's Council, I probably wouldn't have played towards Senna 3 in the game that I was playing. Yeah, it hurts you being able to Ryze Ryze too. The comp is so strong because of CC chains. Other team can't play the game. Tank items on J4 and Kabuko, so they get at least one cast off. No. Yes and no, but usually just J4. You don't care about Kabuko in this comp to have items, but you do not. It's not the CC chain that make the comp strong. It's Socialite. I want to make it very clear, right? I'm going to say it one more time for the people in the back. Hey, shout out to the people in the back. Socialite. If you don't have Socialite, the comp is not broken, right? It's literally, you need to hit Socialite. If you don't hit Socialite, you know, you can have success with the comp, but you will still lose to a lot of the other comps. What makes it such a fucking powerhouse and a monster of a comp is when you have Socialite. Like, the difference is it's like I'm ashamed that I didn't notice it earlier, right? That's how much of a difference it is. It's like me, like I made a second video about the same comp that I already made a how to play guide because I was so ashamed of myself when I figured out the tech that I was like, okay, I gotta do an update. Like the poor people that just started playing the game and don't know what's going on, I need to explain to them what's going on because like I didn't mention this in my how to play guide, and that's why I made a video yesterday, right? I think broken is clickbaity. It's a good comp, but not broken. You have not been playing it with Socialite, okay? I don't know what to tell you, bro. Play it with Socialite, right? It's crazy. Like, I don't know, man. I even mentioned in the video, it's also not clickbait. I hate when people call my videos clickbait because like 99% of my videos are not clickbait, right? I have a video saying, is Mentor Ryze broken? In the video, I answer the question. I start the video by saying, hey, I'm going to update on what I talked about in the previous thing of some recent changes to Mentor Ryze. And then at the end of the video, I say, is it broken? No, Socialite is. If you have it with Socialite, it's extremely strong. So I would definitely go for this variation over the other ones. Like, I feel like that's not clickbait. Besides like the little arrow, every one of my other videos is guide, how to play, ranking power-ups. It's like, bro, like chill. Anyways, one artifact one. Also, I haven't been liking the comments. I'm just gonna do this and move on. Next, I think there's a bit of missing info on the Kate tech with Trench Coat. I already know where this is going. Fenrir did talk about how fruits don't normally affect Trench Coat, but Trench Coat has an interaction with Shadow Clone. Alright, so Shadow Clone makes it so that the damage amp gets set back to normal. This is bug abuse. So if you're doing this, you should be actively banned. But Riot doesn't have the fucking chutzpah to do that. If I was a Riot employee, I would ban everybody that does this because it's literally bug abuse, right? Now, I don't know what the reason is for not banning everybody, but don't do this, right? I wouldn't do this. right? You don't need, like, if you need to bug abuse to gain elo, then I don't know, like, find something better to do with your life, because what are you really doing, right? You're pretending, you're cosplaying a TFT player, like just go do something else, right? Like, nobody even cares about TFT. Nobody's gonna think you're cool for playing TFT. You know, there's so many other cooler things you can be doing. But anyways, I digress. So yeah, don't do this. I would definitely recommend not doing this. I don't know, Shadow Clone isn't a bug. Don't abuse it if it is. This is such a stupid comment to say, because it's like, hey, I'm gonna explain how something doesn't work as intended, but then if it's for the bug, don't do it. It's like, whatever. So this guy, I'm gonna assume benefit of the doubt, by the way. So I'm gonna just delete the comment, because I don't want to spread this. So obviously it will exist in this video because I saw it in this video, but I'm gonna remove the comment, not ban the person. They're not banned, there's no ill will, guy's cool, it's fine, but don't do that. Now, the video, what it was pertaining to the question, if you couldn't tell, it was specifically talked about Caitlyn with Trench Coat. So I just want to mention it a little bit. I want to explain it a little bit more clearly, just in case you didn't know. So there's a way to play Caitlyn, which is you go for Caitlyn 3-star, the Battle Academia board, same as always, right? And instead of playing her as a backline unit, you play her as a frontline unit, where you give her Trench Coat and you give her a Protector's Vow. And the idea is that she splits into 3 units, and then she immediately casts her ult, because Protector's Vow gives you a bunch of mana, and those 3 little copies basically shoot the bouncing bullets that completely delete a backline. Basically just one taps the backline, and the bouncing bullets go everywhere, and it's crazy, and it's cool, and it's funny, and it's silly, and it's like haha, whatever, right? These are the type of things that usually they exist for 1 or 2 patches, and then they don't exist anymore. When I was ranking Trench Coat, I said Trench Coat is really bad. I mentioned that there is this one way to play Trench Coat, which is this specific tech on Caitlyn, which is a bit of a cheesy strategy. But I said in the video that it's not that good. It's like, it's all right, it's pretty okay, and if you hit Caitlyn 3, it's like you can win some fights, but there is counterplay to it, because obviously you're putting a backline unit as a frontline unit. If your opponent has enough burst damage and you don't actually end up killing the unit, but based on positioning, right, if they can counter your positioning in such a good way that they don't get instantly tapped by the 3 copies of the Caitlyn that explode out into 3 copies, they can counter, right? They can easily just, like, it's not a guaranteed win. It's not like that good of an interaction. Now I'm gonna break it down with some stats just to show you a little bit more of what I mean by that. So if we go under stats, this is just like more because I did a stats guide the other day. I want to explain it a little bit better. So when I'm talking about Ornn artifacts, there's a lot of Ornn artifacts that are game winning. They're extremely broken, they're extremely strong. If we put an average placement, you can see something like Fishbones, something like Manazane, something like Flicker Blaze. These are the big 3, right? Specifically if you look at Fishbones, if you look at a particular unit like Kai'Sa, it's going to be like minus 1.5 on Kai'Sa. That means that whatever your spot is of playing Kai'Sa, the average placement is going to be improved by 1.5. So if you have a Kai'Sa and you're like going to say, oh, I'll probably go 4th this game, on average with Fishbones, you're going to go 2.5. Do you know what I mean? It's absurd. It's absurdly good on the unit. And then specifically with Fishbones in general, like Kai'Sa with Fishbones averages like a low 3, right? Almost a 2. It's insanely good. And it's insanely good on multiple units, right? This is obviously the Mundo Hero augment. It's insanely good on Jhin. It's insanely good on Ashe. And it's pretty good on Smolder. This is a little bit more of a bait thing, right? Smolder's not super relevant, right? This is like if the unit's strong in the meta. This is like if the item's good on the unit. So like Smolder, he's a little bit weaker right now, so that's why it says plus here. But then it's like really good on him because if you were playing Smolder, this would be a good option for Smolder, right? Stuff like that. But either way, if you look at the artifacts, right, there are some of them that are absolutely dog shit. I would say everything under Gambler's Blade is like, you should basically try and actively avoid it at all costs, right? If I'm looking at a new player and I'm like, hey, what should I take when I pop open the artifact? I would say, hey, there's a lot less of a chance of you having a good game taking something like Trench Coat than taking another more generic item that you can probably just put on anybody, right? And the reason is that it's very particular. This requires you to hit one of 2 very particular units, right? Vi, this is Vi Hero Augment, or it's Crystal Gambit Cash Out, or it's a mixture of both, so don't worry too much about it. It's pretty good on Braum. It's okay on some of the mentor units and some of the other units like Darius, where you can split and do some things, but it's not really good on anybody. And then specifically on Caitlyn, if you look, it's not that good on her, right? It's not like crazy like a Kai'Sa. It's not crazy like a Jhin with fish bones. It's not something that evokes like a crazy amount of like, wow, this is insane. Now, this is a bit disingenuous. I'm going to break it down a little bit more for you in a second. I'm trying to make this video as informative as possible to make sure I answer these comments and give you guys as much information. But I'll break this down a little bit more because this number's a lie as well, right? It's better than this. It's definitely better than this on her. But it's not that crazy because it doesn't reflect it very obviously. Additionally, it's only good on a few units, so it's not something that I would recommend trying to do unless you specifically have a spot for it, like specifically have a Caitlyn spot, right? These items are so particular that it's like if you don't hit them on the particular unit and you have a really good spot for them, the items are just too underpowered and don't have good synergies that it's just going to be a very rough game. So for example, if you don't hit Caitlyn 3 very easily and you're stuck on a Caitlyn 2, you're putting your Caitlyn in the front line. So if this is a Caitlyn 2-star, it doesn't work, right? She neither has the damage or the ability to tank if she's a 2-star Caitlyn. It only works with 3-star Caitlyn. So for up until you have 3-star Caitlyn, a lot of times you're gonna lose out. That's why it looks really bad on the stats, because it encompasses all Caitlyns. It's not specifically Caitlyn 3. Now obviously, if you look at the stats deeper and you look specifically on Caitlyn 3, right? If I go Caitlyn and I go 3-star Caitlyn, right, off rip just to filter for the 3 stars, then you will start to see that the build shows up. Protector's Vow is up here, and Trench Coat is up here as two of her better items to build around. It's still not better than having these. These obviously have smaller sample size, but generally speaking, I think if you have a Radiant Mana Gen, like Radiant Blue Buff, this item is broken right now. Even after the nerf, I think this would still work out better. And honestly, Manazane would probably be a safer option than this Protector Suspicious Trench Coat build. But you can see that it starts to creep up as being pretty good. And when you put it in the planner, like if you put it with, you know, Suspicious Trench Coat, and you put Protector's Vow, you're going to see that it averages really good, a 3.3, right? A 30% win rate, a 70% top 4 rate. These numbers are insanely good. Don't get me wrong, it's insanely good. The problem is, if you don't have a Caitlyn 3-star, you're going to lose a lot of rounds leading up to this round. So the only time you really want to take Trench Coat in this case is when you're already in a good spot to play Caitlyn. You don't want to hard force into Caitlyn. You don't want to like, oh, I'll find the Caitlyns later. It's not nearly as broken as some of the other interactions, right? Similarly, like with a Kai'Sa, however, right? Like a Kai'Sa, even with like, you know, without filtering, Fishbones is so good on the Kai'Sa. Well, I can't really filter for 2-star because obviously going to skew the stats, but like it's so good on Kai'Sa. Look, it averages like a 2.5. This isn't the territory of something you're more inclined to hard force towards, because even if you don't have the Kai'Sa, you're going to be so strong once you hit the Fishbones that you can find the Kai'Sa later, right? You don't have to have her on stage 2. You don't have to have an insane opener on stage 2. You can take Fishbones, and a lot of times you can find Kai'Sa on stage 3, and because Fishbones has backline access, she's going to gain so many stacks on stage 3, you'll be back to normal and it'll be totally fine. And obviously, if you don't want to play Kai'Sa, you don't have a Kai'Sa spot, it's also good on other units like Jhin and other things that just puts you in a really good spot. That's why that's an artifact that on a tier list, I rank a lot better. And if I'm like, you know, talking to somebody who's brand new to TFT and they ask me, hey, which of these 2 items would you take? It's like, hey, there's one particular Caitlyn build that only works if you hit Caitlyn 3, so good luck hitting the Caitlyn. It's like, that's what I mean. It's so situational that you have to have the artifact and the Caitlyn, and you have to hit the Caitlyn 3, or else you're just 8th. Like, it's literally like you're not gonna place better than 8th. Versus artifacts that give a lot of flexibility. Even these ones, it's good on many 4 costs, which you can usually plan out around, right? Even an Ashe really likes Fishbones, right? That's like the disparity, or that's like the difference with the artifacts. And of course, like, I draw the line Gambler's Blade. Gambler's Blade looks like it's bad, by the way. It's not. It's just because a lot of people are going for Fast 9. If you look at Gambler's Blade, it has one of the highest win percentages of any item in the game, right? If you look here, see, it's like up all the way at the top for win percentage. It's just because it's like a 1st or 8th, right? The average placement is really low because like you either make it to level 9, you hit all of your units, or you don't make it to 9 and then you lose, right? So that's why it's a little bit skewed. It has high win percentage, it's a riskier item, right? Just the way that people are playing it on current patch. Anyways, I put Gunblade as a third item if I can't get another blue buff or Shojin on Ezreal. Just because the stats worth IG, that's about it. I don't know what this is talking about, but sure. What do you talk about? You're putting items on Ezreal. I would not itemize Ezreal ever. You itemize 2 tanks and then Seraphine usually, if you're talking about protectors. But sure, you do you. First, cool. I just like all of these because I'm around. Second, cool. Cute face. Infinity Force Seraphine should be decent as she literally uses all the stats. I mentioned it in the video. It's the same thing as like Trench Coat. It's not that good on Seraphine, right? Even though the stats, like obviously you can't just look at the stats, but like I think only if you have Seraphine 2-star, and even then it's not one of her best options. Like look, like you're pretty much better off with like almost anything. It's just understated. That's the problem. See, it's like, that's what I mean. It's like, it's not, it's like neutral, right? It's like, it's almost as good as IE, you know what I mean? It's like, it's very standard. It sounds like it would be broken because she converts all her stats. The problem is, it doesn't give that many stats because there's actually like a table that you can look up that makes this a little bit more clear. I don't know how to properly explain it because like, it sounds like you're getting a lot of stats, but other items scale her better. And that's the problem. So you can go under, this is Little Buddy Bot, and there's a Seraphine spell scaling. And what it shows all of the items, and it shows kind of how they scale. And you can see an Archangel's scaling after 10 seconds gives you a lot more. And the same with like a Warmogs, right? These ones are like items like, you know, if you're going for like quote unquote Seraphine Biss. Archangels is really good on her just because she already uses the AP, but then it also converts it to a lot of damage amp as well. And then also like a Warmogs is also considered to be really good just because it gives a lot of stats, right? It gives a lot of HP, which then converts into a lot of amp. Now obviously don't look at this in particular, right? Obviously like a Jewel Gauntlet, it doesn't give that much amp, but it makes her spell crit, so it's going to be way more important than a lot of these other items. Of course, like, you know, some of these other items are a little bit more of a meme, right? Like Even Shroud or Crown Guard, right? You need to get your shield to proc, right? I wouldn't worry too much about tables like this, but it's just an interesting little look. And the thing is, if you compare the way that her spell actually converts this the items, the Infinity Force just doesn't do enough. It sounds, it's like a common misconception, but it's because like the HP stat conversion, I believe, is just better, and like the other stat conversions just aren't. It's weird. You have to actually math it out. But I did it one time and I found that it just wasn't as good as other items, and it was like kind of mid. And that's the thing. It's very mid on her. So even if you hit the even if you hit everything, even if you hit it and you hit her, it's not like a valid game strategy is what I'm trying to say, right? Like you're better off like just putting regular items on her a lot of the time. You'll have a better average placement, right? Obviously that's like a little bit skewed because obviously it means that you probably took an Ornn artifact and then you missed and then you took things, so it's like it's not a true indicator because stats don't encompass everything, by the way, and it's a small sample size, but it's not something to play your game around, right? So that's why it gets a very low rating. If you're taking an Ornn artifact specifically for a unit, it has to be really good on that unit, or else you're just playing towards a niche thing that isn't even good. So if I'm taking an Ornn artifact, I either want to take something that's super generic, that is good on everybody, because then I'm happy to play the Ornn artifact on everybody and it works really well. Or if I'm taking a particular one, it has to be broken, right? It has to be so good on the unit that I'm structuring my entire game plan around it. So that's the main thing. This might be a dumb question, but if they don't have 2 or 3 star on them, does that mean they could be 1 star? I don't know what this means. You always want 2 star. How do I secure lots of 2 star to 3 star? Do I just keep rolling? Reply. You usually just go for 2 stars if you have a bunch without rolling. Nice. High roll multiple copies. Then you can roll more while you are rich to find the 3 star. I would not dig. There you go. I think that will help you. I think that's the best way I can answer that. Hitting 4 cost equals top 4 missing. It's not missing. I said it in the video. I don't know what this guy's on, but sure, whatever. I know she's not very good right now, but Akali is actually a great holder of Seeker's armor guards, and she tags a lot of units. I have a screenshot of Dawn Core Akali with 15 max mana and 400 plus AP and 200 plus resistances. Okay, this is not like a real thing, and I'll explain a couple things. First of all, let's consult this number again. What's the Fenrir rule with Ornn artifacts? Yeah, it's the 3rd worst one in the game, right? It's pretty fucking trash, this item, right? It's very understated. This is Zac Hero is probably the only one that it's really good on. Akali just doesn't do enough damage, right? If you're able to play Akali, it usually means that your lobby just isn't playing good enough comps to punish you for playing Akali. Which I know that sounds really rude, but I don't mean in a rude way. I just mean like there's certain comps that they just don't work well, right? The problem with Akali, she got nerfed really heavily, such that she can't do a lot of damage. Now, when this guy's talking about Dawn Core is very good on Akali. If you look at Dawn Core stats, it's extremely good on her because basically it makes up for her lack of damage by allowing her to cast a lot. She basically got giga nerfed because she was like really obnoxious and really annoying. So it works really well on Akali because Dawn Core, you just do like an insane amount of damage, right? Because you're just casting, you're at a point because she has such a low mana threshold that you're just instant casting. It's like one auto cast, and it's like a monstrosity, right? So this is like, does a lot of the heavy lifting and what that guy is talking about. Now, let's talk about Seekers a little bit, right? The problem with Seekers on Akali is that you need to get kills. This gives you armor and ability power. So obviously you're going to gain ability power and armor, and it's going to scale up and you're going to do a lot, right? The problem is with Seekers is that you need to get the kill in order to, or the takedown. Like the unit has to die in order for you to get your Seekers procs. If your opponent has enough damage, you won't be getting the kills. That's the thing. You'll get a couple, but you won't get enough to actually make the Seekers pop off in the way that that person is saying. Basically, Akali is just so weak and so mid that she won't be able to, like she's gonna tickle everybody, right? She's just a tickle monster. She's not gonna actually like do enough damage. And the problem with Seekers in particular is that you're not gonna get those increases to stat unless she does the damage. That's why, like, you know, an Archangels is more preferred in some of these cases, because at least then, even if she doesn't kill anybody, it's still gonna give you stats over time, right? Every 5 seconds you're gonna gain 30 ability power. So the problem with Seekers a lot of the times is that if you're putting it on a unit, obviously you can use it in place of an Archangels on a unit, but the unit has to be so strong that it actually allows them to do the damage and allows them to burst down. Because if you're not killing the units, if the units aren't falling, if the units aren't dying, you're not getting the extra stats. You just have a 40 ability power item, which is not that much. Of course, I digress. But even like units that like Archangels, you'll see they don't work out that well. Now somebody like Zac works really well because Zac does get a lot of the kills. So a lot of times you're putting Seekers with an Archangels or a JG or something, and then this Zac is unkillable in hero augment form. It could also be skewed a little bit that this might be protagonist that you have a Zac for as well, because then he's like giga unkillable. Units like a Twisted Fate, he has spread, so he hits the whole board, right? Akali takes time to hit the whole board to participate in the takedowns, because every cast she goes to a new unmarked target. Twisted Fate hits everybody instantly, and also it's skewed because it's a 5 cost, right? Similar with these, right? When you see crew units, you're probably getting it from the crew cash outs, where he starts giving, you know, if you have Twisted Fate in long enough, he's giving you an Ornn artifact, you know, stuff like that. It's a little bit particular, but that's what I mean. It's already a bad item because in general the stats that it gives aren't up to par with other items in the game. So it's in that trash section of like you're basically purposely choosing to shoot yourself in the foot to try and play something special, and it's like that's not what I recommend doing unless you want to have fun and you find that fun, right? So I wouldn't recommend it. Prowess Claw Duelist Lee Sin goes crazy. Yep, for sure. Talisman of Ascension is poop. But if you use it with 2 fruits, it's reliable. No, you should never click Talisman of Ascension. This thing is a meme, and it only works in very particular circumstances. I think it's pretty much only a Mundo check, because Mundo is hard to kill, so he usually procs it, and he scales off HP, so he actually uses the proc of Talisman of Ascension. But basically, the way you should always look at Talisman of Ascension is that this item is non-existent for 22 seconds. So you have to ask yourself, am I gonna last 22 seconds? And if the answer is no, this item is literally useless. It literally is useless. Like, it gives you a little bit of HP, it gives you some ability power, I don't care. Compared to a normal item, it is literally useless unless you make it to 22 seconds. That's how this item, that's what should go on in your head. So you have to look at every single fight and count, how close am I to 22 seconds? And you'll see that in a lot of fights, especially towards the end of the game, you are not making it to 22 seconds. Very rarely are you making it to 22 seconds. Unless your lobby doesn't know what they're doing and nobody made good items and nobody has any damage. Like maybe they're playing like AD on an AP unit or AP items on an AD unit or something like that. It's not going to work out. And it reflects this because, as you can see, it is the second worst item in the game, right? If I'm looking at an item and I'm saying, hey, you people watching this video, you're new to TFT and you're watching my content to learn how to play the game, I'm not going to tell you to click on the second worst item in the game. Like, think about it. Like it's the second worst performing item. Like, unless I'm going for a meme clickbait, I'm not going to show it to you, right? Like, I don't care about tricking you guys. I care about being factually, like, sound and making sure that I'm giving you guys good information so you have a good time playing the game and you guys win. I want you all to win in my comment section. I want you guys to be like absolute monsters at TFT and then come back here and say, hey Fenrir, I ranked up straight to masters using your guides. Thank you, bro. And I'm going to say you're welcome. I don't want to tell you to take this dog shit item and just lose the game and lose all your LP. You know, if you want to do that, do it on your own time. I'm not going to tell you to do it. It's literally the second worst one in the game. If you have an option of 5 Ornn artifacts and you have to rip it open and you see Talisman of Ascension and 4 other Ornn artifacts, those 4 other ones, statistically, you have a better chance of placing higher with any of those 4 options unless you have a Silver Dawn as well. Like, it's crazy. It's just not good. Don't click it. Even if you think you can proc it, trust me, it's just not that good unless you literally find some sort of Exodia, right? Like Mundo 3 with like a Luchador scaling augment or some shit. Mundo 3 with like a lobby with some augment that gives him infinite HP. Like, you know, something crazy. But like, it's not worthwhile investing all that time in because you can likewise just build towards a different game plan and you'll likely do a lot better. Is what I would say. Brother, you're pumping out content. Thank you. We're gonna answer a couple more. I kind of timestamped this video to be 45 minutes long, so we're gonna answer questions until we hit 45 minutes. Name, website, tactics.tools. I can answer that one. Goat comes through. I think this person asked for radiant items, so I did it. You can't put out banger after banger. A lot of people like the tier list, but they also don't get a lot of views, so it's always hard for me to gauge. Like, I usually have good engagement with it. How do you choose what power-ups you can get? Use fruit remover or buy sell unit. Each unit only gets specific power-ups, which you can see on most websites. Okay, I think I answered that question. First, yes sir. For the Jhin comp, I urge you to build the crit build with Spirit Sword. Damage is insane. A lot of people like this. I'm working on a Jhin guide. Spirit Sword is like a full circle, and I do not know how to properly explain it. So crit isn't that good on Jhin. It's the same way that I explain a lot of the other stuff in my videos. When I say something isn't that good, but it's okay, when something is okay, what I mean to say is that it's not like crazy. It's like all right? Like, you're not gonna have success, but you're also not gonna have failures, right? If you look at it, it's a plus delta, which means that it's not that good, and a lot of people build it, so this is a pretty accurate sample size. Now, obviously, there is a bit of skewed stats because some of the better performing items in a lot of these builds are going to be Ornn artifacts, right? So like the plus delta on certain items is going to be compensated by the big negative on some of these Ornn artifacts, right? Sometimes when a unit is so skewed by having an Ornn artifact win condition, it makes it seem like everything is bad on them because all of these items that otherwise would be good just look like shit because of how good the Ornn artifact is, right? Because like the average of 4.0, it kind of like finds its way in the numbers, right? If you want to see something really silly of how this kind of works as a thing when you're looking at stats, Ashe on 15.2C, I think. Which one was it? Maybe it was D. Oh, it was on B. Oh, it doesn't show it anymore. Does it not show it anymore? Guinsoo used to be -10. I had it in a video. I showed it in a video one time. I think it was the patch right before. It doesn't show it on the website anymore. It was 15.2B, I think. Guinsoo was like -10 delta. It was insane. It looked like it was bugged. It was just because everybody on that small patch had played Ashe. So, it reflected it. Like, it basically compensated. Like, all the negative and all the plus delta stats, like, it averaged it out. Like, it was wacky. But anyways, when you're looking at the items, the thing about Jhin is that majority of Jin's damage is actually in auto attacks. Let me find a team builder. I had one open before. Team builder. Let's open up Jhin. Let me explain this a little bit. So Jhin, a lot of his damage is already in auto attacks, right? Every 4th attack is enhanced. Attack speed is always this, and he converts damage. So something like IE, you don't need it to crit. Like, if you look at a Jhin without IE, he still crits. That's the thing, right? He still crits without IE. So, like, IE, it's, like, fine on him because it gives him a lot of crit and AD. So, it's, like, an okay item. Obviously, it works well in certain builds. But something about it, it's, like, wacky. Because I don't know why anybody would ever build IE because he crits anyways. I don't know if the 4th attack doesn't crit. Like, is that what's up with it? I still don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, but I just haven't had a Jhin game to test it. But as soon as I have a Jhin game, trust me, I'll put an end to it, and then I'm going to put a guide on how to play Jhin. Now, what people are saying a lot of times is that instead of playing Jhin with, what's it called? Power-ups, right? A lot of times what you would play with Jhin was, what's it called? Fucking... Okay, well, we'll start with Sacred Sword. Spirit Sword. What was the other one? It's the one with the overkill. Artistic KO, that's it. Okay, usually people play Jhin with Artistic KO, where the 4th attack deals 35% more damage and overkill bounces. This overkill bouncing is pretty substantial because it adds a chain reaction effect, right? You overkill one unit, then they have slightly less health. Then you can kill them more easily, and then it overkills the next unit, it overkills the next unit. Jhin's really slow in chewing through the entire front line and chewing through all the back line because he's obviously just locked to a certain amount of attack speed. This gives him about a certain amount of AoE that allows him to more easily chew through everybody. And then additionally, it also helps him to easily snipe the back line because at the last moment, when he's trying to kill the backline units, the overkill can often be enough to kill the backline and actually make things really favorable for him in like a clutch scenario, right? To clutch up in, like, you know, once the front lines are dead type of beat. What people are starting to do instead of this is play Spirit Sword. I keep saying Sacred Sword because that's the Pokemon move, but Spirit Sword. You get critical strike chance, and then your attacks that critically strike deal 40% bonus magic damage. Now, this magic damage is usually based on Shred, which you don't have when you're playing Jhin because all the units in the Jhin comp are AD unit, so it's a little bit awkward. So the 40% bonus magic damage, I think, gets nullified by their magic resist, if I'm not mistaken. Additionally, the 20% critical strike is nice, but like I said, Jhin a lot of times can crit anyways, so even when people take Spirit Sword, they often just play regular anyways, like just without IE anyways. At least that's what I've seen. Now, you might think like, Fenrir, what the fuck are you talking about? I watched a couple VODs of Tidal. I watched a couple VODs of some other challenger players. Tidal played Spirit Sword. He specifically took Spirit Sword with no IE, and his Jhin was still critting, and he just built Jhin with DB, Last Whisper, what's it called? Strikers, right? And it was really strong. Don't get me wrong, right? It was very strong. And Tidal, for those that don't know, he's arguably the best or one of the best players in TFT. He has his hat in the mix of winning multiple world championships, if I'm not mistaken, or at least won one. He won the one that I watched. So I don't know if he won one before. I think he did, but he's like extremely good. Japanese player, plays a lot on NA server now, so you'll find him on NA ladder because he just wants better practice in NA, I guess. Just like a lot of the other regions. So Title's his name. Anyways. But that's what I was referencing. The thing is that ever since then, people are going back to playing Artistic KO. Because even though Spirit Sword on paper seems like it's extremely strong, Artistic KO doing the overkill, even though it's arguably less damage, because this is 40% damage on all critical strikes. So if you build full crit, you can assume that you're doing 40% damage extra all the time. The problem is it forces you to invest in crit instead of base stats, which alternatively decreases your damage output. Compared to Artistic KO, it only deals the extra damage on the 4th attack, but that's the part that is weird, because even though it only does it on the 4th attack, it arguably looks a lot worse on paper. But without the crit items, he actually does a lot of times equal, if not more damage, and the overkill actually helps out a lot, because the overkill lets you chew through units a lot more easily, because the bonus magic damage is not AoE, it's just applying on the same unit. So if you overkill, the overkill is what's the big part, because like imagine if somebody has like a little bit of HP left, Spirit Sword is gonna eat up his entire hit, right? If that person has 1 HP, it's not gonna do anything. But if he has 1 HP and you have Artistic KO, then all the extra damage that you would have, because the Jhin hits like a truck, is not wasted. So there's no wasted damage with Artistic KO, and that's what really makes this one extremely strong. Now I think there is like 2 schools of thought, like I was explaining. Some people go for Artistic, some people go for Spirit Sword. I think both are viable. You basically don't skip either of them. If you see Artistic, you take Artistic. If you see Spirit Sword, you take Spirit Sword. If you see both of them, I don't fucking know. And I'm trying to figure it out so that I can make you guys a guide that's really informed and explains this in a much better way than me saying I don't know, because I would like to find the answer. But I can't find the answer yet, because one person I watch says Spirit Sword, Spirit Sword, Spirit Sword. The other person I watch say, why the fuck would I ever take Spirit Sword? That shit's dog shit. I'm gonna take Artistic KO. And I'm sitting here like, okay, I don't know what to do, because there's 2 different people saying 2 different things. And, you know, if somebody tries to explain it to me, it's like, I don't believe you guys, because these are players that are in the top 10, right? So it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out between the top 10 list of which ones have more knowledge than others, that one is better than the other, or if they're just so comparable that it's just a matter of flavor and taste. But either way, that's part of the reason why I say IE is kind of meh, and a lot of times you just want base stats. Hopefully that explains it. But, you know, I don't want people to think about it and be like, you know, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about or whatever. It's like I put in a lot of work. It's the parts that I have concerns with are the parts that I explained. But sure, whatever. I'm not going to answer that as a comment. Hopefully this person was paying attention. You like it. Nice. Second. Nice. My favorite part is having a strong early game, Jhin 2 and IE. Okay, sure. Build Jhin 2 with IE. The thing is about IE is that it's not bad, right? That's what I said. It's like, it's all right? It's like, okay. Because if you look at IE, it's not like very bad. Even also with Jhin, by the way, if you add filters, like if you give him a Death Blade, IE starts to look a little bit better, because in some builds it's actually okay. But it's just like a matter of optimization things, right? It's not, that's what I mean. It's okay. It's just not a, it shouldn't be a priority. It shouldn't be like, I have to make it instantly. It's more so like, you make it if you have the items for it and you can maybe go down that route. Don't worry too much about it, right? It's more so like that. Also, it's a little bit, it fucks up a little bit with Artistic KO. I didn't mention that. The crit has like, it's not bugged, but it just does, like the Artistic KO overkill, like with the crit synergy, just doesn't work well sometimes. So it's like a little bit weird. But that part I can't explain it well. Thanks, doggy. What time is it? We'll answer the next major question, then I'll end the video. Played first time, nice. The number looks massive. It's 80 AP power. Holy shit, 80 AP. What the fuck? I think this person is memeing, but I kind of mentioned it in the Radiant video. What I was talking in the Radiant video about is the stats increase versus total stats, which sometimes people don't look at when you think about Radiant items. A lot of times when you have a Radiant item, here I'll pick an AP unit so I can explain it. I'll pick 2 AP units, right? When you have a Radiant item versus a normal item, a lot of times, like if you're going for a particular build, let's say I'm playing Yuumi and I'm going for like, what's it called? I'm going for Rabadons and Void Staff. Like that's the build path that I'm going down. And here I'm going to go for Rabadons, Void Staff. A lot of times if you're picking an option for a Radiant item, you're filling in the rest of the items with similar items that are going to be along your build path, or like whatever you kind of assume you're going to put on the unit, right? With Radiant items, there's also Masterworks upgrades. So if you have to choose between 2 items, you're usually upgrading it to a certain amount. So in the case of like Rabadons, for example, and let's take Rabadons and let's do Void Staff like this, right? If you look at Radiant Rabadons, it's 80 AP. That looks like a lot of AP. 80 AP, 30 damage amp, 50 damage amp, excuse me, right? With Radiant Rabadons, it's 50 AP. Sorry, with regular Rabadons, it's 50 AP and 15 damage amp. But the net increase here is only 30. It's not 35, it's not 25. If you were looking at these two Yumis and asking which one does more damage, the Radiant Rabadons is, even though it's 80 AP, it's only a 30 AP increase. Void Staff, regular Void Staff gives 35. Oh, well, Void Staff's a bad example. But Void Staff, if you look at the increase on Void Staff, it goes from 35 to 60. So this is only an increase of 25. So in this build, the Radiant Rabadons gives you more AP if AP is the stat that you're looking at. What's an example of one that's like really good? Is it blue buff? 45. And then what is regular blue buff? 10? No, 15. There was one of them that was like really good that I was mentioning in my video. I know this one's pretty good, but like Giant Slayer, for example. Like if you look at Giant Slayer and regular Giant Slayer, like this one has a net increase of 30, right? 50 ability power, and then this one gives 20. So this is a net increase of 30. So these two Yubis, if you look at their stats, would have the same AP, right? Even though Radiant Rabadon says 80, the stat increase, if you have this Yumi and this Yumi, they would have the same AP. And in some cases, other Radiant items give more AP. But that if these two Yumis, if you're looking just at their AP stat, they have the same AP. Then it just comes down to damage amp, right? Like, I think you get more damage amp with Rabadons, but this one gives you, like, more attack speed and stuff, so it just comes down to, like, smaller optimizations and stuff. But either way, that's, like, the example that I was explaining in the video. That's why I was saying don't look at Rabadons and think that it's, like, really crazy broken, just because it has, like, a really, really, really big number, if that makes sense. But anyways, that was me answering some comments. It was a little bit longer than I wanted it to be by 5 minutes or so, but hopefully I explained a lot of this stuff. I just wanted to iron home some of the questions I was getting. I tried to make it entertaining. I tried to explain some of the stuff, and I went a little bit more nitty gritty, so not something that will be in a lot of the videos where I'm more holistic and kind of making it a more condensed version that you can kind of get an understanding of. Hopefully that was enjoyable and fun. Tomorrow is going to be patch notes, so that one should be a little bit more popular and fun. So I'm going to be working on that tonight. So hopefully this video was a nice bridge in between. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and see ya. Bye-bye.